So we've been having lots of discussions in the office recently about talent mobility. So we thought it might be a good idea to jump on and have a chat about it. So how would you describe talent mobility in your own words?
I think it's worth looking at it from two angles. So if you think about it from a company's position, it's very much about how you make sure you've got the right people in the right places, to be really simple. But to build on that, for me, it's like the ultimate version of business. What's good for business is good for people. So if you're anticipating the skills needs in your business and developing your people to be there when you need the people with the skills in the right place at the right time. From an employee's point of view, it's a core part of the employee experience. Is what's my next career move? Now that might not be upwards. That increasingly that conversation is not about upwards mobility. It's about how do you develop people in a broad way. And I'm a great example of that. I'm someone who took upward steps, but after a long time was like, do you know what? No, I want to develop my skills in a different way because that's what's right for me right now. I want to stay interested. And I think it's all about that. How you move your people around the business is the really simple version of it.
Yeah, lovely. That's a really nice point around stage of life and what's right for you, because whenever I talk about talent mobility with kind of friends or contacts, there's a lot of talk around reframing in your own brain what that mobility can look like and what career development and progression means to you in any given time. And, you know, we've talked about it a lot in the context of being a mother and how that changes your perception of what you want career development to be. But actually, there's so much richness to be found in those sideways steps and deepening experience and kind of changing things. So companies that are able to really tap into that, it actually builds a really inclusive work environment and helps people to make choices that really work for them and build a career that feels really satisfying to them.
Yeah, it's a really good example of actually where changing the language is quite powerful, because it very much used to be talent progression or career progression, talent management, which was very much about steps upwards. And I think that was really important when we're talking about mobility in the broadest sense of the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you think about why it matters so much right now, it's a really difficult job market out there, and we're seeing a lot of political unrest and economic uncertainty globally. We won't get into the T word, but I think what that means is that there's a massive emphasis on retention and what that really looks like, because quite frankly, it saves money to retain people, and it costs a lot more to try and recruit and onboard, as we know, is a really kind of challenging thing to do well. So I think that might be why we're seeing a lot more conversation around it, and why businesses are really starting to focus on what that talent experience looks like and how they make it better and build on their retention internally.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think we see that in terms of what clients are asking for and why they're asking for it. Yes, there's economic uncertainty, but just also this, there's been this conversation for a long time now around change is a repeatable skill. It's the core of businesses. Business is going to keep evolving. And actually, we were doing some work with a financial services firm where we were sort of talking about, well, what does the future talent you're looking for look like? And the ultimate answer is the only thing we know is that we don't actually know what skills we're going to need in 5 years' time. We have a picture of what we believe, but the world is moving at such a pace, whether it's changes in political forces that perhaps people didn't anticipate, that means you need a different type of person in different types of roles, or it's AI developing at a pace that no one quite some people anticipated, let's be honest, but a lot of people did not, particularly in smaller businesses. And so they're saying, rather than trying to say, in 5 years' time, I'm going to need 3 people in this job, which is, let's be honest, kind of how things used to be. We're saying what we need to do is create an agile workforce. We need a way to be able to connect to what skills our people have, what potential our people have. And again, when we say potential, we're not just talking about their potential to be CEO, we're talking about their potential to move into maybe a fundamentally different role. So again, using something I know quite well, banking, if you're closing bank branches, which is now a fait accompli, that is what is happening, technology is replacing a lot of those roles. Actually, what skills do those people have, which might be absolutely the skills you need in future roles? If you don't have the real knowledge of the skills your people have, who you've got in your business, which, let's be honest, because of a history of HR systems, that kind of thing, a lot of businesses don't truly know who they've got. So do you really know who your people are? Do you know what skills they've got? And do you know what aspirations they have? Are they looking for that step up, or are they looking for a sideways move, more interest, something different? And if you have that information, then as those changes emerge, then you're empowered to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those tech systems, and you know a lot more about this than I do, but these tech systems have really stepped up, haven't they?
I think anyone who's worked in corporate roles for a long time, I don't think it's rude to say some of those HR recruitment platforms are pretty bad. They haven't been invested in consistently. And you have this weird experience where as employer brand investment has gone up, so you're seeing some really great employer brand websites, great candidate experiences, and then you sort of hit this recruitment platform and it feels like you've gone back to the 90s. Many reasons I'd like to go back to the 90s.
That's not one of them.
Not ideally. So I think you've got this kind of technology shift. So that's great. That just bringing the employee experience of the hiring journey and the technology aspects of that up is great. Win, easy win. Then I think there's a couple of other angles. One is that the way that the AI is being deployed to connect people to roles that they just wouldn't naturally be considered for because maybe they don't have the right degree, they didn't have that right school, but it's understanding skills in a new way, connecting people to people they didn't know in an organisation, particularly the bigger clients we work with. They're saying, actually, this is a potential to say hiring truly is no longer about who you know, but it's about what you know. And that's really exciting. Obviously, disclaimers to that of like the AI's got to be managed properly. There are risks to this, but the potential is exciting. And the way we're seeing it being deployed is with good intent, good risk management, good testing going on. And I think it could work really well. Yeah. And then I think the final big benefit, which is really exciting for our colleagues in people teams everywhere, is that because those systems have been quite clunky, they've been doing a lot of workarounds. They've been doing a lot of, frankly, not very interesting admin work. And I think where the systems work well or have the potential to work well, that could be really unlocking time for talent teams to be spending more time on that good strategic work of being a business partner. And for me, it's a really interesting mirror that I experienced as an internal communications business partner a few years ago, where you spent less time coding intranets and things like filming became easier. You were spending less time doing grunt admin work. The good teams were shifting and going, great, I finally have that seat at the table I've been shouting for, to be an advisor to my executives, because I'm not actually just spending loads of time doing admin, and people should be excited about that.
Absolutely. I think the great thing for us as well, and what I've really enjoyed on the talent mobility projects, is all the stuff around it, because great talent mobility program is actually really all about growth mindset and instilling that growth mindset in people. So I've quite enjoyed, okay, we're launching this platform, that's great, but then what? And that's the part that's been really exciting for us, isn't it? Building all the things around it that are upskilling line managers to understand what skills-based recruitment and development looks like, to help individuals to understand how to get the most out of the platform. It's all of that kind of behavioural stuff that sits around it, where I think we've been able to add a lot of value, and actually we've just really enjoyed as a team getting our hands on that challenge, because it's not really something that we've worked that heavily on before, but in the last kind of 12, 18 months, we've had quite a few briefs in that space. So it's been really good for us too, that kind of everything around it and what that teaches you about the way that businesses are going to run now and in the future. And I think that's really exciting.
And it is good old-fashioned people-led change. It's like, yes, it's often, like you say, people have bought a platform and they say, we're going to change the way we do talent, either talent acquisition, talent mobility, something in that space. But actually, when you get down to it, you go, these systems are so easy to use now. There is almost no training required to use the system, which is great news. Good work, tech guys. We'll give you that one. I can pick it up and I can use it, which allows us to spend more quality time again, investing in what do we need our managers to be? Because this is a big shift. Any of us have done hiring. Most people will have done it. When I've built teams, you spent a lot of time looking at what experience of people had in the past. And yet you did look at what university have they been to, that kind of thing. And so if you're going to pure skills-based hiring, which a lot of our clients are starting to talk about, then there's this really interesting moment of like, the CV fundamentally shifts. The value of what we're saying we value in people fundamentally shifts. And that's huge. That's a huge
I'm really excited
shift.
about that. Some of my best team members and favourite team members haven't been to university, don't have degrees, and taken an unconventional path to this role. And the more that we can enable and empower that, the better. I think that's really exciting. Yeah. What do you think the most important thing organisations can do when they're thinking about making this shift or looking at their talent mobility programme?
I think start with understanding where you're at today. So there is a little bit of don't run before you can walk. We can talk about the exciting world of skills-based hiring, which, let's be really clear, has been an exciting potential world for quite a few years now. This isn't shiny and new, but suddenly you've got the AI-driven platform to enable it. I know, this is a little bit of a home classic thing to say, but it's right. It's understand where you are. What do your managers need? What do your people need? What are the challenges today? So, for example, one of the talent mobility projects we've been working on recently, it became very clear in the conversations that we were having, in the research we did, listening to their people, listening to their leaders, that there was a very clear belief in that business that it was about who you know, not what you know. So so a lot of the campaign came into the opportunity to democratise that opportunity in this business, to really understand that this is a chance for those people who felt a little ignored and little because they're in geographically a tricky location or that kind of thing, say actually this opens up a world of talent to you. And to those line managers, with the other thing we were hearing about line managers holding on to talent, because recruitment was such a difficult process in this business, that they were like, if I let someone go, and I want my people to develop, but if I let them go, how on earth did I fill that hole? And I'm under so much pressure. So we were able to, with the line managers, one of the first things was to talk about how this is exciting for you, because this is going to make that finding and moving talent around the business much smoother. So by understanding what your people really need, we can drive the change, communications and engagement practices around that, which allows people to get excited about it and see the opportunities. So it's just good change comms principles, if I'm honest, but that's often the case. Like, really understand this as a change program,
and it's incentivizing the right behaviours. Like that example you give is such a good one of where they thought they were doing the right thing, but actually there was a shadow activity going on that they weren't aware of. I think the other big thing for me is about organisations thinking about what they want to be famous for in their employee experience. What is it that we want to be known for? And when we think about that in terms of our talent mobility, I think we keep talking a lot at the minute about how businesses are being really tentative and that we're kind of in this age of beige and no one's really saying anything and it's all a bit meh. Talent mobility, making that shift into a skills-based model probably feels like quite a big swing right now. But now is the time to do it, because actually people are crying out for organisations that mean something. And if you look at things like the Edelman Trust Barometer, there's a real breakdown of trust between employers and employees. Doing something like this, listening to your people's needs and wants and creating an environment that they can thrive in would do massive, massive things for your culture and would make a huge difference to your organisation and to your performance. So the more that people can really think about, we don't have to go big on everything, but if we are going to go big on this, what would that look like? And how would it be unique to us? And why would it be exciting for us and for our people? I think that could be really powerful. And that would be my kind of challenge to, call to arms, I suppose, call to action for people to just try and think about this a bit differently, because what we're seeing is it's hugely powerful and impactful.
Yeah, and there's no getting away from everything is shifting and changing. So it is time for this, the way you acquire. What you want from your people is shifting, you need to change the way you acquire and hang on to those people. And just to bring it back to that, also, it is really expensive to hire people, let's be really honest. And having holes, gaps in your business, particularly if you have any kind of business where your people are some kind of product to you, whether that's a consultancy like ours, or if you're financial services, healthcare, anything like that, where your people are fundamental to the way you make business. This is, like I say, the classic example of it's good for business and it's good for people. People get more rewarding careers, your culture grows, and your business grows. It's a bit of a no-brainer.
Absolutely.